same motherfucker was out there hating, didn't have nothing to say. Now all of a sudden I'm doing time, maybe it's 28 years, but they say, oh, every person got an opinion, everybody got something to say. But I promise you, I'll be there when I get there. You know I'm going to pull up. You know what I mean? I ain't going to go and say, okay, you a bitch and all that. Just express yourself better.
Rest in peace to Pac. This is the Suge Knight edition. Let's go.
Yeah.
Suge, what's happening, man?
That was good with you.
Oh, man, listen, man, we doing good. How you doing, man?
Man, every day's a blessing.
That's
right.
right.
What the circumstances is. You're alive, you're doing good.
That's what I'm talking about, man. You know, so we connected, man. I mean, we on $1 million worth of game featuring Suge Knight live from penitentiary. There's some things you want to talk about, Suge.
I mean, you know, one of the things is always been heavy on my mind is that I know I owe it to my community. I know I owe it to the younger generation that comes after me to give them the game that people didn't give me. Okay. I had to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's very important that, you know, like I said, I'm a firm believer that always less is best. But we got to be real careful out there because you got so many people that's constantly talking, saying certain things. They doing it for what views, for publicity, and it's getting a lot of people in handcuffs, getting a lot of people, you know, on the worst end of the barrel. And like I say, at the end of the day, me being older in the older generation, it's a young people turn. There's a lot of good people out there doing great shit. You know, I think the city of Compton is still great. They got, you know, artists out there is incredible. I don't personally know them. They're younger, but they're still great. 211 doing great shit. T-Rail, my nephew doing great shit. And it's just at the end of the day, it's time for us to move forward instead of constantly moving backwards. Now, you got people who say they're from my neighborhood and they grew up in my neighborhood. They really came from a different neighborhood. You got people saying they was with this crew, don't even know that crew.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it came down to Death Row, I came up with the name Death Row. And matter of fact, another guy had the name already. It was Death Row, but he spelled it like Death, like they spelled Def Jam.
Yeah, DEF.
The same way, Def. Yeah, it said, bro, I said, no, you know, we from the ghetto. I'm going to do some gangster shit. So I bought his shit and destroyed his trademark and did my own. And my little homie Hen Dog, rest in peace, drew the logo.
Okay.
And a lot of times people go and say, well, there's a guy named Mike. He said he started Death Row. This person said he started Death Row. All these different people. Now, true enough, I do know Mike through my attorney. We had some conversation about doing some things, but at the same time, nobody had no real money to do that shit. I did all that shit on my own. Even when it came to the fact when people say, well, did you lose in court? I didn't lose in court. I said the first time it came around, because you got to realize one thing. When I met Interscope, Ted Fields, and Timmy Iovine, they was about to call it throwing the towel. I say they company and lunch my company. But at the same time, they settled. Any person said they had anything to do with me and knew me, I gave everybody sign off on stuff. $300, you know, with $300,000 or $200,000. Say, hey, even though y'all had nothing to do with my shit, Interscope felt that's the best way to do it. So that was settled. Later on in life, moving forward, they went to court and got a default judgment against me, saying they had something to do with my company, along with the lawyer, David Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened, none of my lawyers came there to represent me, and I got a default judgment because I wasn't there and I never got served. So instead of going back and forth with it, I did another settlement for $1 million. Here, take it, go, it was over. I didn't know at the time, but it wasn't a problem with Lydia. It was a problem with Michael Harris. His lawyer turned around and said they didn't settle. So when it was going back and forth, I did a Chapter 11 to show this is not true. The reason why I had to do a Chapter 11 in the federal court because the state judge was on the phone, or they was representing the state judge with Goldberg, which is Michael Harris' attorney, and 3 other guys all on the phone on a recording saying how they got the judge in their hip pocket and he gonna fuck over me just to fuck over me. So I was advised to do a Chapter 11, show them the settlement, and let it be done with. Moving forward all this time now today, I just recently found out, I wasn't 1,000% sure, but I just recently found out it was Michael Harris and Goldberg, his attorney, did the biggest fraud in the history of the music business. Everybody want to pat these guys on the back and show praises and say, hang out with me. But these are the same people who befriended a black man to try to fuck up his motherfucking shit. Or fuck this shit up. Because at the end of the day, and you can show it, and Goldberg, which is Michael Harris' attorney, he emailed Castleman, which is Lydia Harris' attorney, saying, hey, we're going to take the default judgment from here and capitalize on it, basically. He said, no, you can't do that. I got the judgment for Lydia Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Goldberg, who's Michael Harris' attorney, said, well, if you don't stand down, you guys going to get in trouble because at the end of the day, you filed bankruptcy. Your client filed bankruptcy. And if you file bankruptcy, you don't miss these type of things, that means it's illegal. You even had a trustee. So her attorney, which is Castleman, turned around and said, well, you know what? I didn't find out till almost a year after we got the default judgment. As a lawyer, as an officer of the court, you're supposed to go in there immediately and get that straight.
Okay.
And like I said, when it's all said and done, and because I'm a black man from Compton and a businessman,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I could get treated the same way if I was Apple, if I was Universal, Warner Brothers, Pepsi-Cola, or whoever. But we always against each other in the ghetto so much that they use us to all fight amongst each other, like use everybody against each other. Like if you say something negative about this person, I'll give you more views. If you say something about this person, I'll give you more views. Like I said, there's people from my neighborhood that just started in my neighborhood. They came from kitchen crib or hanging with the main street. When they moved to my neighborhood, they didn't run with us to school or go to school because they wouldn't. Most people who weren't tough, you couldn't go to school. That's like sports. How you can tell if a person can fight when I was growing up if they played sports. If you was good in sports, you was good in fighting or anything else that came with along with it. I grew up with 10 uncles. My name always meant something.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you a lot about that.
Right.
But more importantly, I think it's really important that we don't get caught up in trying to bring each person down like the old crab in the bucket syndrome. This is like when you look at it, I'm from the West Coast. I love everywhere towards my people, but I don't love no coast better than the West Coast because that's where I was born and raised at.
Mm-hmm.
And right now on the West Coast, we getting arrested out there. People
Okay.
getting killed out there. And they're not giving any money back to the West Coast. So you got all these people who's really good youngsters who's crashing, who shouldn't have to crash because they should be giving money back and putting money back into the cities. Instead of doing that, older motherfuckers got everybody arguing among themselves. Like I salute the fact that they doing something for Larry. That's a great thing. One of these youngsters said earlier, he was like, well, damn, we got people on the West Coast who's Crips, Bloods, Pyrus, and different neighborhoods who's in prison, who's been railroaded, who need lawyers. Nobody doing nothing to get them lawyers. So when you start giving concerts and shows and you doing these places for one person, you got to do something for people in the city. Because we do need the West Coast who got so much strength, so much influence
Okay.
to be able to benefit from all the work we all did in the West Coast. We got too many people that live in the West Coast that are not generating more jobs back to our community. That's when it's all said and done. That's what we should be on.
Believe that.
Bad company ruins good morals. Suge should have stayed focused on his empire, and he still would have been successful with that, bro.
Roger, tell these subscribe to the Prophet channel.
I love you to death, and I will always love you, my father.
Prophet muscle.
Subscribe for